To other news, many shoppers are expected to take advantage of the Boxing Day sales before swapping for a savings spree in 2024. The National Retail Association expects shoppers to splurge $23.9 billion this year, which is triple the amount spent on Black Friday sales. New South Wales and Victorians will make up the bulk of shoppers hoping to snag a bargain. Most Myer and David Jones stores have opened their doors, while Westfield, Kmart and Big W will begin trading at 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And joining me live is Chief Investment Officer at the Motley, Scott Phillips. Scott, good morning to you. Hope you enjoyed your Christmas. It's all about Boxing Day now and some of the doors are already open, but it doesn't sound like many people are tightening their belts this year.
Janie, good morning. I did enjoy Christmas too. I hope you did. Look, yeah, you're right. We're going to spend apparently about $24 billion over the next 15 days. So you're right, $3 billion today alone, and then plenty more besides. We should say too, a lot of online retailers actually started their Boxing Day sales yesterday. So you could have tucked into the ham and then jumped online and bought yourself something at a pretty good price. I guess the thing is that retailers are ditching prices pretty significantly. So many half-price deals. You mentioned DJs and Myer. Right across the spectrum, there are stores desperate to try and move some stock. We've had a really strange retail period. We know how massive Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales were. And again, for a sale named after 1 or 2 days, that felt like it went for a fortnight as well. And then we had very significant falls in retail sales over the months, the early weeks, I should say, of December. We pretty much went on strike. So look, we bought everything we wanted to in November. We used the Black Friday sales to stock up for Christmas. And now we're being enticed back to the stores. You're right, though. This is the key challenge, I think, for us as an economy, as a society, for the RBA, for policymakers, is how much can you go and spend in these sales and not put pressure on inflation? Perhaps the best sign is that at least with prices lower, the year-on-year prices may actually fall, but there is still plenty of money being spent in the economy. And we do have a really big range of people. There's a whole lot who said, hang on, I cut back on Christmas this year. I can't afford it. Inflation, interest rates, I'm doing it tough. Others who are completely fine or even better off because they're getting more on their savings in the bank. So it's a really difficult time for the economy. Maybe some good news around the rest of the world. We're seeing inflation dip meaningfully. The US is back under its target of 2% already. Now, we were 4.9%. We've got a long way to go. But if we can kind of take some solace in that, we know US inflation rose before Australian inflation on the way up. Hopefully its fall is a precursor for us too. But you're right. Look, retailers really doing it tough. Some of them desperately need our business this Boxing Day. Otherwise, the inventory they've bought, they're going to be stuck with and they've got to pay for. So it's a really, really finely poised situation. We know retail sales will be down in 2023 as a year, if the forecasts are right, by about 1%, which is meaningful when you think about the fact that prices are up a lot. There is a lot of moving parts. A tougher Christmas for retailers, hopefully a better 2024 for us all.
Well, let's hope so. Well, we'll take any good news that we can, Scott. And we know so many people love to shop, don't they? And you make such a good point. It's so interesting seeing these Boxing Day sales, which start, the day before and go on and on, which, look, again, it's great. But there's a lot of pressure, isn't there, on organisations and companies, because yes, for the consumer it's great to get a deal, but that that makes them suffer, and small businesses especially.
Yeah, it does, and they're trying to clear inventory a lot of the time. They're bought over December. Our shopping habits, we haven't seen the final numbers yet, but I think what we'll see is a U-shaped 6 weeks. Lots of money initially in Black Friday, a whole lot of money being spent Christmas and Boxing Day, and not much in between. So there's kind of two spikes. Think about that U-shape, kind of what the curve looks like. And you're right. At the end of the day, we want to get money into the economy. The RBA doesn't want to shut things down, of course, and stall the economy. They just want us to kind of pull back a little bit, just take some money out of the economy, take out a bit of that overheated demand. The challenge, if you're a retailer, is saying, well, hang on, I've still got to pay the bills. I've got to pay the rent. I've got to pay for the inventory I bought, hoping that it would be a good December. And if you're, stuck with a whole lot of stock you're trying to clear, as you say, mate, doing it at half price is very rarely a profitable thing to do, but simply straight out cash flow. If you've got stock on the shelves you need to pay for, you need to get rid of it and free up some of that cash flow. So that's what the Boxing Day sales have traditionally been. Of course, in the bad old days when we had to do manual stock takes, they were stock take sales, trying to clear the shelves so that people could count what was left. This time around, it's literally a case of trying to get some money through the tills, pay the rent, pay the staff, pay, of course, for the stock they've bought. We really hope there won't be too many retail failures. It's almost inevitable. In the next month or two, we'll be talking about the fact that one or two retailers, maybe, hopefully not any big ones, but one or two will have gone to the wall because they just simply didn't make it through this Christmas trading period. And again, consumers doing it really tough right now. Plenty of people saying, well, either I'll buy it on special because it's the only time I can afford it, or I'm not even going to buy that on special because I just don't have the cash. The other side of this, maybe, hopefully, we see interest rates start to fall later this year. A couple of banks are predicting as many as 3 drops sometime around September, October, November this year, which would take us back down 0.75%. So we are in the eye of the storm to some degree. Hopefully 2024 has better things. It won't start on January 1. Things won't improve from that day. It won't be a shotgun start. But over time, if the RBA does get what it wants, if international inflation does keep coming down, if the RBA's impacts are working, it will see fit to start to release those levers, those pressures that it's been putting on the economy. And of course, the government has to also step up and play its role. So a big 2024 ahead for everyone, including retailers, of course, and consumers. But yeah, the challenge is still ahead of us, unfortunately, but hopefully with some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, well, we've certainly got those challenges, as you said. But one thing we'd never have is petrol sales. We don't hear, there's petrol sales, do we? Come on, companies, do something about it because there's a lot of pressure there. How are the fuel prices at the moment?
Mate, they've come down a little bit, which is kind of nice. So we're seeing, we saw a spike a couple of weeks ago with the Red Sea piracy issues. Maersk, the big freight liner, is going to restart freight shipping through the Red Sea, through the Suez generally. We're going to see, hopefully, a normalisation. We saw the oil price jump 4% on the back of that news, but it came off pretty quickly. I think the world's militaries have responded pretty quickly to make sure there is safe passage. And we should hopefully see it continue to come down. The thing we haven't talked about all that much at the end of this year, mate, is the Australian dollar. It's just below 68 cents as we speak, but it was above that yesterday. Yes, on Christmas Day, they were still trading the currencies. At 68 cents, the great thing is up from 63 or so, that takes a very significant chunk, about 10% of the price off the oil price, because we buy it in US dollars, of course. If you get more US dollars for your Aussie dollar, it means the oil price in Australian dollars is lower. And that obviously means the petrol price is as well. As you say, I wouldn't cross my fingers for any discounts or any sales over the Christmas period when everyone's traveling. The oil companies are making a pretty penny. But hopefully it continues to come down. And I am reasonably optimistic, Matt. I don't do predictions because no one knows the future, so it's a bit of a bugs game. But if you think about the pressures, the oil price coming down, the dollar going up, if, fingers crossed, those two things remain in place, we actually may see some year-on-year falls in the oil price and hopefully falls at the pump. Good news, of course, just literally for the back pocket. But as importantly, maybe even more importantly, good news for the RBA's inflation fight and therefore good news for interest rates as well.
A lot to look out for, as always, but really appreciate your time and expertise. Scott Phillips, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day.
I will absolutely do my best. You too. Thanks, Janie.
Thank you.